Hello, my name is Francesco Polizzi, and this is the Elevator System Design Challenge. So I used a modified approach to the Circles product management design framework to tackle this problem, in which I first did some research about elevators, elevator system design. I then identified uses and use cases potentially for our elevators, developed a feature set, prioritized and threw away some features from that feature set, and then developed a solution and hypothesized how I might measure success for that solution. So the first thing I might do as a product manager when, given a project is try to understand the constraints of this project. So I did ask questions of the pseudo architect in this case. I found out that it's a residential space. There are 4,000 residents and 62 floors. It's an upscale building in San Francisco, and there's a parking garage and main lobby. I then interviewed two people over the phone in 30-minute phone interviews, one of whom was Nick. Nick used to live in a high-rise residential space, and he had this interesting comment about efficiency at peak hours. He said, elevators go to different groups of floors, they're segmented, which means there's rarely traffic. And then we have Cody, who used to be an employee of a high-rise residential space. He said, we had to be really careful not to scratch the elevator's walls with equipment. He also said there was no separate elevator specifically for employees, and noted that during peak hours, he had to defer to residents to go in the elevators first when he had his heavy equipment, and it could take up to 5 minutes for him to actually get on an elevator. Then I kind of broke it down into uses and use cases with these user types. I said that the main user types are residents, guests, staff, and then we have non-staff service members that might be using the elevators. So then we developed some personas. We have John here, Samantha, Mario, Lee, and Carl. John's a handicapped resident who lives on the 50th floor. Samantha is a businesswoman who owns the entire 62nd floor and parks in the parking garage. Mario is a plumber who works for the building. He transports equipment often and consequently also saves Princess Peach. Lee is a guest of Samantha who visits occasionally. Carl is a paramedic who occasionally responds to calls at 329 Bryant. Now, I wrote down separately a ton of user stories that I'm not going to bore you with, but I'll give you some examples of them. And essentially, the goal of these user stories and these personas is to try to extract some goals that might come up for our users in using our elevators. So, for example, as John or Samantha, I would like information about my living community so I can stay connected and involved with my neighbors and living environment. Or, for example, as Mario, I would like a powerful and durable elevator so I can transport heavy equipment between floors without damaging anything. And with these user stories, I extracted 10 goals, 10 specific goals that I thought were most important to our users. And now we'll move on to our feature set to try to tackle these goals and minimize pain points for our users. And so we can start out here with these main elevators. So these elevators are suited for the residents. They're designed so that, as John or Samantha, as resident of the building, I can be comfortable in the elevator and feel like I'm at home before I even step off the elevator to get to my apartment. There's wood interior, music playing, a digital community board where things are displayed, and all the amenities that you would normally see in a, upscale high-rise residential space. And then we have a utility elevator. So this elevator will be placed right alongside all of the 4 regular elevators, and it'll also be in the parking garage. But the purpose of this elevator is a little bit different. It's got a metal interior, a wider frame, and a wider body. And you can imagine, as Mario or maybe as a resident, I might want to transport something larger. Maybe as Mario, I might want to transport a piece of equipment. Maybe as a resident, I'm transporting furniture because I'm moving in. I don't want to damage the nice elevators that we have. And maybe as Mario, I want to stay out of the way of the residents. So this is a durable elevator, maybe a little bit more powerful, that'll be able to handle bigger loads and be able to, keep him out of the way or potential, employees out of the way of the residents as they're trying to be comfortable in their regular elevator. So the next problem we can tackle is elevator efficiency. Obviously, there are a ton of people doing research as to how to do this in the industry right now. I did a little bit of research myself, and this is what I came up with that might be best for this residential space. So we have 2 dispatch areas. One dispatch area is going from floors 2 to 30, and the other dispatch area is going from floors 31 to 62. 2 elevators serve each dispatch area, and the reasoning behind this is that, if I'm on floor 62, I don't want to stop from floors 62 to 2. I want to kind of minimize my travel time in between those floors, and this kind of helps do that. So then we have dispatching. This serves a twofold purpose. The first being site security. We don't want anyone coming in from off the street and being able to go to any floor that they want to willy-nilly. Residents have to have a key whenever they get into the elevator so that it knows exactly where they're wanting to go, but guests need to be buzzed in by the residents. Additionally, this also serves the purpose of, as Samantha, I want to know who my guest is, so I can discuss back and forth extra resident communication essentially between the resident, Lee, and Samantha, who is the resident that she's trying to contact. And then we have this auto dispatching system that I'm proposing. There's a Bluetooth device within the key and then a Bluetooth device in the elevator. So the elevator knows exactly when Samantha, John, Carl, anyone else who's a resident of this building walks into the building and dispatches an elevator to them. Additionally, we can attach further information to these users, like John. We can know that maybe we need to keep the elevator door open a little bit longer so that he can wheel his wheelchair in and we don't shut the door on him. Additionally, this provides the avenue for a little bit more analytic data gathering. We'll discuss that a little bit further on. Finally, we have digital communication. So, as a resident, I want to be involved and engaged in my living community. This allows me to see things like events in the community, maybe, there's construction going on that I might need to know about. Additionally, as Samantha, I might want to do something with my time in this elevator. I'm kind of wasting it. I maybe want to see the news and know that it's pouring outside, so I need to get an umbrella before I try to walk to my car, etc. Then we have certain accessibility and emergency features. You have a push and hold button for Carl to get emergency access to floors without having to stop, braille for blind residents, an alarm bell, and phone button and stop key for additional safety in emergencies. And I think these features are kind of improve the safety and efficiency of our elevator system. Then finally, we need to measure, success of these elevator systems, these features that we've implemented. Quantitatively, I think the best way to do that is using this key. We can understand exactly the time that an elevator is dispatched and exactly the time that the users leave the building. And if we can understand the total travel time and try to minimize the total travel time quantitatively, I think we'll be successful in measuring success. And then we have qualitative feedback. So we can interview guests and interview residents at random saying, how was your experience using this elevator? Where were the pain points? Did you feel comfortable? Is it easy to use? And getting this qualitative feedback and this quantitative feedback, I think will be successful in iterating and testing and implementing new features that might be more successful for our elevator system in the future.